the MMA Podcast. And now, coming to the mic, your host, Jalen Walker.
Welcome to Pound for Pound, the MMA Podcast. I'm your host, Jalen Walker. If you're listening to the podcast via Spotify, Apple Music, or any other streaming platforms, please make sure you also check us out on YouTube, and please click that subscribe button. Much appreciated. We're back in the studio. I hope you guys enjoyed the watch party last time. Thanks for tuning in. We'll probably do it here another time. I just wanted to test it out and see what people thought. But next time it'll be way bigger and better. Appreciate Manscaped for sponsoring that and for sponsoring the podcast as always. But guys, the very first Pound for Pound MMA podcast was almost 1 year ago. That same day was the first meeting of Kamaru Usman and Jorge Masvidal, which took place at UFC 251 as the first main event on Fight Island in Abu Dhabi. That was July 12th, 2020. Jorge Masvidal took that fight on a 6 days notice after Gilbert Burns tested positive for COVID-19. Masvidal was 22 pounds overweight when he arrived in Abu Dhabi, plus he did not have a full training camp, obviously. Will max preparation time change the outcome, or will Usman remain the welterweight champion of the world? Now headlining UFC 261, Usman will defend his title against Masvidal in his much anticipated rematch. Also defending their titles tonight is Valentina Shevchenko against Jessica Andrade for the women's Flyweight Championship. And then we have Weili Zhang against Rose Namajunas for the women's Strawweight Championship of the world. We'll break it all down and much more. But first, a word from our sponsors at Manscaped. Hey you, got bush? You definitely do if you haven't tried the best products from our sponsor today, Manscaped. After using these life-changing products, you're going to want to join the Manscaped community. Manscaped is dedicated to helping you level up your full-body grooming game with their Perfect Package 3.0. The Perfect Package 3.0 kit comes with the Essential Lawnmower 3.0 waterproof cordless body trimmer and a ton of other liquid formulations to round out your grooming routine. This is the best trimmer to help you trim up those hedges. This trimmer features a cutting-edge ceramic blade to reduce grooming accidents thanks to advanced skin-safe technology pioneered by Manscaped. When you trim the hedges, the tree stands taller. Inside the Perfect Package, you'll also find the Manscaped Crop Preserver ball deodorant, making sure your balls are smelling majestic before your Tinder date. You'll also find the Crop Reviver Ball Toner, a spray-on testy toner that is designed to make your balls smell irresistible. Be sure to add the refined cologne also to your arsenal. With the Perfect Package or Performance Package purchase, you get 2 free gifts: the Shed Travel Bag, which is a $39 value, and the High Pattern Performance Reduced Chafing Manscaped Boxers. And I can speak from personal experience. The cologne is amazing. The travel bag I still use to this day. And man, the reduced chafing boxers are some of the most comfortable underwear I have ever wore. So definitely check that out and do yourself a favor and use code Pound for Pound to get 20% off plus free shipping at manscaped.com. That is Pound for Pound for 20% off plus free shipping at manscaped.com. Thank you so much, Manscaped. Much appreciated. All right, guys. There's not a lot to get into. We got 5 fights on the main card. So let's break them down. First fight, we got Anthony Smith versus Jimmy Crute at the light heavyweight. Anthony Smith, a.k.a. Lionheart, he's 34-16. We all know who Anthony Smith is. He's been in the UFC for a while. He's coming off a first-round submission victory against Devin Clark back in November of 2020. This victory put him back on track. He has 18 wins by knockout, 13 by submission, 2 by decision, and 1 by other. He also has put together 16 first-round finishes. In this match, I think staying off his back is an absolute must. He has to stay off of his back. There's always a chance that Smith will be able to throw up a triangle, but Crute is just too dangerous. Like, his guard is just not worth dealing with. So I think Smith's biggest advantage here is keeping on the feet, throwing a heavy amount of punches, and just trying to slow down Jimmy Crute and not let him get him on his back. I think that is the key to Anthony Smith winning this fight. And if he does win this fight, Smith's jab and counters, they're so accurate. And I think that if he can successfully avoid the takedowns, he should be good. Now, Jimmy Crute, a.k.a. The Brute, he's 12-1. He's on a 2-fight winning streak that consists of back-to-back first-round finishes. That was a knockout. Who was it? It was a knockout against, let me see, Modasta or something like that. I can't remember his name. But that was back in October of 2020. But, you know, he has a balanced record with 5 wins by knockout, 4 by submission, and 3 by decision. And he has 8 first-round finishes with a combination of knockouts and submissions. You know, once in top position, like I was saying, Crute is very well trained. He drops guards, strikes, and he advanced smart in his positioning. If he's able to secure enough time in dominant positions, I think Crute can wear down his foe, and he just might be able to lock his third Kimura inside the octagon. I'm very interested in this fight. Like I said, if it goes to the ground, I'm going to take Crute. But if it stays on the feet, it has to go with Anthony Smith. But as much as I love Anthony Smith, I got to give it to my boy Jimmy Crute. Like, his ground game and, like I said, his top mount is A-class. And I think that is going to be the winning factor in this fight tonight. So we're going to take Jimmy Crute either via submission or just TKO, just too much brutal or too much beating. We'll see. We're going to see what's going to happen. All right, next fight, Uriah Hall versus Chris Weidman at the middleweight division. Uriah Hall, a.k.a. Primetime, he's 17-9. Like, we all know what Uriah Hall can do. He's on that 2-fight winning streak. I think his last fight he won in the 4th round by TKO, something like that. But his fighting resume shows that he has 12 wins by knockout, 1 by submission, and 3 by decision. He has established himself here with the jab, and I think it's his best weapon. You know, he has a 79.5-inch reach, so that's really, really going to help him in this favor. But, you know, he's mentally strong, he's prepared, and I think he's ready for this. Yeah, it's going to be interesting. Chris Weidman comes in, a.k.a. the All-American, at 15-5. Weidman finally broke through his losing streak with his most recent victory back in August of 2020 against Omar Akhmadov. His fighting resume shows that he has a balanced resume, of course. 6 wins by knockout, 4 by submission, and 5 by decision. He also has 3 first-round knockout finishes along with 3 first-round submission finishes. So very, very, very impressive there. In his first bout, Weidman walked his foe into the fence, looked for takedowns, then locked him out when Hall tried to circle away with his hands low. Oddly enough, the same strategy applies here almost, you know, particularly since in the first round finish, I think is the best way to avoid becoming tired later in the rounds. Like, it's just obvious. It's just simple IQ. Still, while a knockout would be nice, I think Weidman really doesn't want to trade shots with his opponent. I think he's going to try to duck, crouch, take him to the ground. I don't think he really wants to worry about that. But if Weidman can get on top early, it's going to set the tone for this fight. And he even may land a submission. But when it comes down to it, I think Hall is just too dominant here. And he's just too quick for Chris Weidman. Respect to Chris Weidman, but I got to take Hall wins via decision. All right. Weili Zhang versus Rose at the women's strawweight. Excuse me. Weili Zhang, a.k.a. Magnum, one of the best female fighters of all time, one of the most entertaining fighters of all time. She is one half of probably the greatest UFC fight of all time. And I don't even need to mention what it is because we all know what it is. But she is currently riding a 21 professional fighting streak as the champion. Sorry, this is for the women's strawweight champion. My apologies. Weili Zhang is the current women's strawweight champion. But, like I said, she's currently riding 21 professional fight winning streak after her debut in 2013. Her debut, she lost, and she hasn't lost since. And that really says something about what type of fighter Weili is and how dedicated she is to this sport. I do a lot of research when it comes to these fights and when it comes to this show. And after all my research and some of the stuff I've seen, Weili Zhang works harder than about 80% to 90% of the athletes in the UFC and probably in the world. Weili Zhang is a freak of nature, and if you watch her workout and you see her go that extra mile when her coach is like, no, we're good, you don't need another 5 rounds in there, she looks at him and said, let's go. And if she does it and she gets out and she literally passes out, like, no one works harder than this girl, and it shows. 21 professional fight winning streak. That is ridiculous. No one talks about it. She's just dominant. And it sucks because I love Rose, but Rose has some really serious fighting up ahead for her tonight. But back to Weili. When we're talking about these elite contenders in Thug Rose, I think Rose is going to give Weili a great fight. It's going to be just like with Joanna. I think Weili here is the more technically sound fighter all around in her game, but I think Rose could possibly be a better striker than her. Rose striking has come so far recently, especially working with Trevor Whitman and her husband. But man, Weili is something else. And we can sit here all day and talk about everything that's great about Weili, but we know that we already know it. That's the thing. We know when Weili fights, it's going to be interesting and it's going to be a show, and we don't have to worry about that. But the hard part about that is when she fights someone like Rose, who's also like this and also very well known and fans love her, it clashes us. You know what I mean? So it's really hard when you got Weili Zhang at 21-1, and you got Rose at 10-4. Rose recently lost 2 fights ago. She was slammed on her head by Jessica Andrade, and Rose almost gave up on MMA, but she came back. She's determined to keep going, and now she's here in one of the biggest title fights of her life. Rose used to be a title holder, and I think she is hungry, and if she can find that in her, that inner being and that energy that wants to escape and explode to grab that title, I think that's going to be her chance to beat Weili. But Weili is a beast, man. Let me go back to Rose. Rose, sorry, is 10-4. She's coming off that split decision against Jessica Andrade in that rematch back in July of 2020, which was phenomenal. That fight before that is the one she was knocked out when Andrade slammed her on her head, which was very terrifying. She has 1 win by knockout, 5 by submission, and 3 by decision. Also, she has 5 first-round finishes with a combination of knockouts and submissions. The first stat I read there, she only has 1 win by knockout, is what scares me so much for this fight. Only way to knock out or to finish Weili is for Weili to go to sleep. She's not going to quit. Rose is going to have to break a bone, break an arm, break a leg, or she's going to have to knock her out. And with the stats behind Rose right now, it's really hard to back that up. I hope this is a starting point for Rose to where this is her biggest moment in her career so far. She gets this title. She beats one of the greatest female athletes of all time in Weili Zhang. And then she comes and takes off and becomes one of the greatest or the greatest women's fighter. So we'll see. There's a lot of calculations to take here. But in the end, I love you, Rose. I think you're an amazing fighter. I stand with you. But I have to, professionally, as I got to take Weili Zhang. Weili Zhang, a.k.a. Magnum, is going to win this fight tonight via TKO, and it won't be probably until the 3rd or 4th round because Rose is not going to get dropped easy. But God damn it, I am excited for this fight. This is, other than the main event, this is the second most anticipated fight for me, I think. I think this should have been the co-main event, but understandable. Valentina Shevchenko, she's a veteran. She's been here the longest. She deserves the co-main event. She honestly deserves to be the main event, but when you have these 3 title fight nights, not everyone can be the main event. But in my eyes and everyone's eyes, the last 3 fights, those are all main events. It's 5 rounds, championship bouts. It's going to go down. But yeah, Weili Zhang wins via TKO against Rose Namajunas. All right. I'm going to probably rant again here. Valentina Shevchenko versus Jessica Andrade at the women's flyweight division. Valentino, a.k.a. Bullet, 20-3. Shevchenko is currently on a 6-fight winning streak as she looks to defend her title. Her last victory was a unanimous decision against Jennifer Maia back in November of 2020. She has a balanced resume as 6 wins by knockout, 7 by submission, and 7 by decision. She also has had 3 first-round submission victories along with 2 first-round knockout finishes. The key to defeating Andrade for Shevchenko is the use of angles. I will repeat, it is the use of her angles. The Brazilian only knows how to fight moving forward. Throwing combinations and hooks to the head of Jessica Andrade is going to be key for Shevchenko winning this fight, and that's what she does best. That literally is what she does best. Heavy strike, her spinning back fist. She hits like a train. And I think if she can catch the angle of Jessica Andrade, it's going to be game over, night-night. But Shevchenko is quite good. Obviously, she nearly decapitated Jessica I by stepping backward at an angle and then ripping that disgusting kick. A few sharp liver kicks will slow down. Like I said, Shevchenko is just going to use Jessica Andrade, and she's just going to slowly tear her down. And she's going to go in for the kill. Think of like a boa constrictor. How she's going to tighten them up, get them unconscious, and then just nighty-night. But we'll see. For her opponent, Jessica Andrade, a.k.a. Bay Estaca, I believe that's how you pronounce it. Andrade is finally able to break her own 2-fight winning streak with a successful win recently. Her last victory was the first-round knockout against Caitlin Kukagian back in October of 2020. She has a balanced resume as well with 8 wins by knockout, 7 by submission, and 6 by decision. She also has 9 first-round finishes with 4 by knockout and 5 by submission. If Andrade is going to win this fight, it's going to be from a close distance. She cannot compete with the Bullet at distance, obviously, but from the phone booth range, face-to-face, Andrade can trade hooks with any woman on the roster, and her power takedowns are very difficult to stop. Jessica Andrade she's a former champ. Weili Zhang beat Jessica Andrade after Jessica Andrade generously came to China to face Weili Zhang about 2 years ago. And Weili Zhang took the title there, which could be one of the greatest moments in UFC history, just for a Chinese athlete to win a title in front of her hometown and to hoist that belt up. There's no better feeling for Weili Zhang at that moment, and it truly was an amazing moment. Not for Jessica Andrade, but I do hope she gets a chance to fight Weili again one day, but it probably won't happen. That fight was too quick. It really was. But yeah, so here, Valentina versus Jessica. I'm going to obviously take Valentina Shevchenko, a.k.a. the Bullet, at 20-3. She's just too good, too quick. The way she uses the octagon, the way she reads people, the way she feints and counters. No one does it like Valentina Shevchenko other than Amanda Nunes, and hopefully we'll see that fight again one day too. But yeah, Valentina Shevchenko wins via TKO most likely, or if not, it's going to be a decision in the end. But it's going to be a damn good fight. Damn good fight. All right, on to the main event of the evening, the fight most people are going to be tuning in for tonight. The craziness, the hecticness, the shit talking, the he say, she say. It has been phenomenal this week. It has been outright amazing. UFC Embedded was so entertaining. It does suck how they don't show all of Masvidal's good moments. Like they were kind of shorthanding him here and there. They were showing him the moments when he kind of looked like a douche, which he is, but he wasn't trying to be. He was just being funny. The way they edited it was just, they were obviously pushing for Kamaru Usman here. Kamaru Usman is a moneymaker. He beat GSP's record for the most consecutive title or welterweight wins. The UFC knows what they're doing. They're promoting Usman. They want Africa to start joining in and buying pay-per-views and stuff like that. So they're pushing him really hard. That's why they had Francis Ngannou, the new heavyweight champion, with Usman on stage, even though they do help each other. But there's strategic. There's a plan behind what they're doing here. But that plan goes to shit if Masvidal wins. So, Kamaru Usman, the Nigerian Nightmare, 18-1. Yes, one of the greatest welterweights of all time. I will say it right here. After that fight against Gilbert Burns, that man is a beast. He is currently on a 17-fight winning streak and the current welterweight champion. His most recent victory, like I said, was back in February against Gilbert Burns. He has 8 wins by knockout, 1 by submission, and 9 by decision. He also has 3 first-round knockout finishes. Kamaru Usman has made some massive improvements in the striking game, particularly over the last few years. TK wins over Kobe Covington, Gilbert Burns. Those are 2 huge names. And then he took Masvidal all 5 rounds, even though it was on 6 weeks' notice back last year. But Kamaru Usman, a 3-time NCAA D2 All-American. He's one of the best wrestlers in the welterweight division, no doubt about it. And he has the skills to drag just about anyone to the ground and completely take their air away. If Masvidal isn't careful, he can find himself mushed up against the cage, or worse, flattened out under Usman on the canvas, and that will not be good. Eating those punches from Usman is just, we saw what happened with Gilbert Burns. It just wouldn't be good for Masvidal at all. Masvidal isn't careful. Like, this fight could be quick. It could go very quick. But Masvidal learned from the end. I think Masvidal is very strategic. I think Masvidal knew he would get a rematch even if he lost that fight because he took it on such short notice. And he took him all 5 rounds. Usman did a lot of stuff in that fight. And Masvidal has had a long time to think about what Usman's done in that fight, if that makes sense. And I think what Masvidal was saying yesterday on the pre-show, he was like, Usman exploits the same. How do I say this? He's basically saying Usman exploits your same weaknesses over and over in a certain way. And if you could stop that and make those weaknesses basically like your strong points, Usman's fucked. So we'll see if that's the case. If Masvidal has cracked Usman's code, how some people cracked Tyron Woodley's code, that will be huge for the sport. That opens up a whole new realm of fights to make for the welterweight division. But it all depends on if Masvidal can win tonight. Excuse me. I do want to mention this. Kamaru Usman had this to say. This is when he talked about when Masvidal first took the fight last year. The only reason this man took the fight is because it was on 6 days' notice. He had a built-in excuse, and he's still running his mouth. Usman said, I'll give you a whole training camp. I guarantee you won't sign that dotted line again this time. I'm going to finish your ass. Any one of these fools can get it. Any one of them. But he keeps running his mouth. If he's going to talk, step in there, and you got to see me. First of all, understand it. Trying to sell tickets. Great job. But the reason Masvidal took that fight wasn't because he had a built-in excuse. I think, one, he wanted to learn Usman and exploit him next time he fights him. But also, he's game bred. That is literally who he is. He comes from fighting in the streets with Kimbo Slice and the boys in the backyard, literally in the streets. Like, if someone called him and said, we got to fight for you, he would pull up and fight and destroy the people. Like, pretty much every time. That's who Masvidal was. That's how he got Street Jesus, game bred. Like, he's bred for this. He can fight anytime, anywhere. And he proved that to us last year. And not enough people gave him respect for that. The commentators, the UFC people, they could, like, no. But he was not. What he did, losing 22 pounds in 6 days with no training camp, coming there and fighting and still being able to go all 5 rounds with Usman, give me a break. That is impressive. When you got Gilbert Burns getting the holy shit knocked out of him by Usman. Like, one of the hardest hits I've ever heard in a UFC punch was when Usman knocked Gilbert Burns down and he came up over him and just hit him directly in the face from above. One of the most aggressive punches I've ever heard. That didn't happen to Masvidal. Masvidal was too slick with it, and that was on 6 days' notice. Imagine what he's going to do with a 6 to 8 week camp. I'm speechless. I'm excited. I'm more than floored to see how this fight's going to take place. But here, let me get it. Masvidal, we all know one of the greatest of all time, one of the most entertaining of all time. 16 wins by knockout, 2 by submission, and 17 by decision. He also has 8 first-round knockout finishes, including the famous knockout against Ben Askren with the flying knee in 5 seconds. Masvidal is a threat. He is lethal. He's the BMF for a reason. What he did to Nate Diaz in 2019 with that stoppage was phenomenal, even though we could have saw more. Jorge Masvidal has some of the most precise striking in the UFC with the strongest power behind it, to be honest with you. And Masvidal said Usman cannot strike hard, and I believe it. I believe that Usman doesn't punch as hard. I think if he really wants to throw it out and put his all into it, like with that Gilbert Burns punch, like when he put him on the ground and was trying to put him to sleep real quick, which I think he was trying to do because that is still kind of his friend. I think he just wanted to put him out of his misery. But, like, damn, dude. Usman's gonna have some problems on his hand with Masvidal tonight. I'm 100% sure. Like, Masvidal is coming to a point in his career to where it's now or never. This might be his last chance at the title. Unless something crazy or fluke happened tonight, like a no contest. But even after that, we don't know if they'll still get a rematch. You know what I mean? But the welterweight division is just like the middleweight division right now, man. It's so stacked and so competitive. Any of the top 5 guys, top 6, top 7 damn near in the welterweight division and the middleweight division, all of those guys could be champions in their own right. But the problem is there can only be one winner every time, unless it's no contest, of course. But I think tonight, God, I'm stalling. I don't want to pick one of these guys. I don't know, man. The last time these two met, Masvidal held up his own. He stayed in there with Usman, and he did what he needed to do to show that he can show up short notice and take that fight. And it was very impressive to see that man go 5 full rounds at 25 minutes with Kamaru Usman. But saying all this about Masvidal, I've seemed like a hypocrite with this. I got to take Kamaru Usman. What he did against Gilbert Burns was absolutely phenomenal. Very impressive. I don't think a lot of people could have done that to Gilbert. Gilbert is a strong, tough Brazilian individual, and I think Usman's just on a different level than these guys, and what he's been saying all along has been true. It wasn't promo. It wasn't hype. Usman is levels above these other guys, and if he can be taken out, I think that would be absolutely remarkable if Jorge could beat him tonight. And I would love to see Masvidal hold up that title. Actually, both titles, the BMF title and that title. So, interesting. I didn't even think about that. But, yeah, man, it's so exciting, and I'm pumped. I know all you guys at home are pumped for this. UFC 261, the first time in over a year that they have a sold-out crowd. It's going to be insane. People don't understand with these fighters performing in the Apex. Yeah, it's cool and all. You can kind of focus. But when you get knocked out, you actually use the crowd's energy, is what they were saying, to get yourself back focused. You use that adrenaline. But when you get knocked out at the Apex, it's just click, 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 camera, commentators speak, and that's it. You know what I mean? It's a very weird vibe, some of them were saying. But that doesn't matter. They're in Jacksonville, Florida. UFC 261, 3 title fights on the line. The women's strawweight title, the women's flyweight title, and then the men's welterweight title. I'm pumped. I know a lot of you guys are. Looking forward to it. Let me go ahead and get the start times for you guys before we head out of here, like I always do. 1 second. UFC 261 early prelims, I believe, start. Here we go. It's pulling up. They start at 6 p.m. on ESPN2. The preliminary card starts at 8 p.m. on ESPN. And then the main event starts at 10 p.m. on pay-per-view, which you can purchase through ESPN+. Don't miss out tonight, guys. Make sure you're watching. It's going to be hectic. It's going to be real hectic, but I'm pumped. And I hope you guys are too. Excuse me. And I hope you guys are too. And yeah, that's it I think I got for today. I'm going to get ready for these fights. Make sure you follow me at the Pound for Pound. It's PFP_podcast on Twitter. We tweet during the fights. I may post on Instagram here and there about some of the fights. But yeah, tune in tonight, guys. And make sure to subscribe to us on YouTube. And shout out to our sponsors at Manscaped. But yeah, I appreciate it. And this is Pound for Pound, the MMA podcast. And I'm your host, Jalen Walker. Thanks, guys.